this is how to add the final touches to your finished toque. So we have a toque here that's all done with the knitting. It's got the ends all sewn in. So it's all finished except for those last couple things like the pom-pom and a little tag if you're adding the tag on. So we'll start with the pom-pom. So what we need for this is a small tapestry or yarn needle. So something with a small eye because it needs to go through the button. Okay, so what we're going to do is your pom-pom will have 2 strings on the bottom, and we're just going to thread the first string on, and then in the top of the hat we're going to thread each string through on either side of that center hole there. So we'll just pick just something sort of opposite, it doesn't really matter, but we'll go through that side there, and then bring the needle out maybe, and then threading the other side on, and we'll just go through that opposite side of the hat. So somewhere right across like that. And this part you can do fairly easily without using the needle to thread it through. You can do it pretty well just with your fingers if you'd rather do that. But to get it through the button you will need the needle. So now we're going to pull this sort of inside out just so we have a really good look at it. And then same thing, we're just going to thread this back on again, and then we're going to go through one through each hole in the needle, just making sure the one side doesn't fall off while you get the other one organized. And just pulling it all the way through. And then we just want to tie it on nice and tightly here. And you have a couple choices. If you want to have this fairly easily removable, if you think you're going to be taking your pom-pom on and off a lot, then you might just want to do just one bow and then it'll be easy to undo. If you want it to be more permanently on there so that it doesn't have sort of any chance of loosening or coming off, then you can go ahead and double knot it. But for now we're just going to tie one knot, just making sure so I can feel that I've snugged that pom-pom up nice and close on the opposite side, and then we're just going to tie a bow there. Okay, so that's kind of the first step. So if you're kind of happy with that and you want to be able to take it on and off fairly easily, that's where you'll stop. But you can see that it's sort of nice and firm on there. It's not super loose and floppy. It's not pulling away from the hat. But if you do want that extra security, then you're just, what I do is I just take the loops and just tie them through again and pull that tight, and then there's no chance of that loosening without you having to come in and pick the knot out there. Okay, and yeah, so you may not want the ends quite so long, so let's see here. So I'm just going to do a bit of a smaller bow, again just making sure it's nice and tight there. So maybe something more like that. And then because the ends are so long here, you don't need them that long. So you can decide how much length you want left over. You have a little bit to play with. It's not going to fall out of the hat, but I would probably cut them about there. Yeah, and then that's done for that part of the hat. So we've got our pom-pom on there. And then the last step is that we're going to come down to the brim and focus. Oh, there. Okay. We're going to come down to the brim, and what I like to do is I'll find that point of join where we connected it together in the very, very start. So sometimes if I can't easily tell where that is, I'll just flip it open and look for the little tail from when I sewed that in. So that's our back, that's our center back. I just like to leave that kind of out of it so that it's not anywhere near the front. And then from there, what I do is I'll take the little tag here, and what I usually do is I set it just kind of off to the side. So thinking if someone's head is in here, this is sort of going to be around their forehead. So I just kind of do off to the edge of that, something like that, and it will always change once it's actually on their head anyways. Okay, so we'll set it on there, and I'll show you a little trick about placing it, but we'll give that a try. So I've got the tag on there. I've taken just that first sort of the screw part of this rivet, even though this is just a push one, but the longer side anyway, we'll say. So I'm going to put that through, and then going over to the back, we'll bring it through the hole, and then we would fasten the other bit on, but I'm going to show you first. So what I would do before you actually close it up is just see how it's sitting on there, because here's my trick. You don't want it hanging off like it is there. You can sort of see that it's a bit loose and floppy there, because what will happen is once this gets on someone's head, it's going to stretch out even more, and you can see that it's even looser and floppier there. So my little trick here, even though it looks a little bit funny when the hat is not being worn, it's much better when it's on, is that we're going to go up higher than you would think. And let's just see how this try looks. So that's better. So it's a little bit snug. Sometimes what you might even want to do is have it on there so that it's actually pulling up the fabric a little bit at the bottom. But something like that, just so it's not loose right from the start, because like I say, as you pull it out, as it stretches when it's being worn, it will look even looser there. So once you sort of got where you think you want it, you're just going to take the other little end. So now this is sort of the flat, smaller piece. This is pretty obvious stuff. And then we're just going to put that onto the end there, maybe. Yeah. Okay, and I'm not going to actually fasten that on there right now, but you would just clip it in there. It'll make a little noise and you can feel that it's pretty secure there. And that is it. So we've got our pom-pom on there. Now you've got your little tag and you're all set. So that's how to do the final touches on your toque.